Welcome, folks. Hey, Howard, how are you? Finally, we can get to do this. Finally. Um, as you can see, in a different location. So we're on tonight. Chelsea West Farm, Hanif, Mr. McCook, what's going on, boss? Guys, do me a favor and share the link so we can let people know we're here hanging out. I'm just trying to do the same myself on my phone. Before we jump into what we need to get into. Who else is here? Everybody that's here, they can just, give a shout out, say hi, so we can. Dr. Young, how are you? Dr. Young, did you bring back any of those goats that you were showcasing on Facebook? They're going to be part of that importation next year. All right, Benjamin, what's going on? See, Dr. Young says soon those goats will be on the island, or I should say goats like that. And I don't think it's those specific ones. Kenneth, how are you? Welcome, everybody. So the last live we didn't go so well because of our internet problems. Jason, what's up? Dr. Young says she's working hard trying to get these animals in, so everybody's excited about that. Looking forward to that because it's going to be fun times. Maybe we should try to get somebody to give us. Oh, well, look, Paul said Sayers gave us an update. I don't think there's any further development since he came on. Yeah, so I was saying the last live we didn't go so well because of the internet problems since the storm. I just I'm in a different location, so the internet is good here. So I think we've been pretty busy because we've been kidding since then. Last part of August into September. I think our last kid was this past week. So we wrapped. You guys saw my Instagram post. We wrap on this kidding period, so looking good. Mr. Henry, big up. We had 15 mothers, 28 kids. One died. Yeah, I think that's the number. So based on that, it's a 1.8 kidding thing. So we're pretty happy, average 9 pounds, 9.5 pounds. We average out. We'd have some couple big ones, 10-pound ones, and some smaller one. We had two triplets. So they're on the smaller side, but we're happy. I got to give enough respect, enough big ups to the team. Cruz, Trudy, our new guy, Luke. As you can see the settings, they did a great job. So we got to give thanks and big them up because it's a lot of kids on the ground in a short period of time. Well, that's how we plan it out. So we were basically prepared for it. and we're looking good. You know, next period is November, December. So let's see. These kids are looking really good. A great mixture. We used the Nubian buck a lot this time, so it's a great mix. I'm trying to focus on get more milk yielding animals in the herd. So that's what's going on. Tonight, I just wanted to give a brief recap of what we're trying to do the last time and didn't go so well. So I don't know, I actually deleted the last live from Facebook and YouTube because it was so horrible. You know, you could barely hear what I was saying. I went back and watched it. And I'm like, this cannot stay up because people's not getting no value from it. The ratio, Ms. Henry's asking what's the ratio male to female. We have, what is it? 12 males and 13, 14 females. Yeah. So we're happy. There's more females than male, unlike the last time, unlike the last kidding season. So it's 13, and yeah, whatever the split is, but it's one more male than female. I'm not so good at the math thing. One more male than female. So it's been amazing. We're happy with that. We will take that all day. You know, we will take that all day because, you know, females are in short demand and everybody's asking for females. So we got a long list of people asking for females. So we'll take that. We'll see how they come out and keep what we want to keep and share the love with people. Make some people get some females. It's about time. So what I wanted to go over tonight was basically trying to recap what I was trying to do. Yes, Mr. Henry, that's what I'm going to get into. I'm going to get into what I was trying to do the last time was to give you guys how we prepare, the things we have in place. I don't have the medication items with me at this location, but most of the people know what they look like. So let me see. So we start our preparation from we group the goats, to group the females for kidding. We start our preparation. So we try to breed 15 because that's what we can comfortably accommodate in the goat house. As you guys know, 80% of the goat house is used for production animals, maybe 90% because the only animals in there that, well, everybody's in production because the bucks work. So we got the milking mothers that stay up there, mothers that are going to have kids, and mothers with kids. So the goat house is just used for that. So once we group the goats that are going to breed in 115, we put 20, select a group of 20. So we have a room of error. You know, sometimes we get 15, 16, 17. Last time we got 18, which created a little problem, but we worked it out. So then once we select them, put them together with the buck, we start preparing accordingly. Make sure we have the space. Make sure that, you know, everything is available. Kidding panels, structure everything to make sure it's ready. They're going to be in place. All these things are going to be in place. Now, items that we make sure we have is gloves, iodine. We always have those because of the milking program. And Hemoplex. Hemoplex is for recovery when the mothers have kid and, Sometimes 2, 3 kids is stressful on their body. So we put Hemoplex in the water to help them recover from that stress. Omega-3 for the kids as they're born, we give them omega-3 spirit enable. We got the scale with the sling to weigh them immediately. We weigh, take pictures, put it in our little WhatsApp group so we can record all that stuff the next day and we don't forget what it is. So that's the plan. How we prepare is after the grouping, start taking stock, start the audit to make sure we got all the things we need, cut grass, straws, hold grass and stuff, stock it up, make sure it dries out, stock it up because we need it for bedding. So we don't wait till kidding start happening before we secure that. Vitamins, make sure we have some vitamins available for the goats in case, there's a problem with the mother. We make sure we have all those things available. And we keep checking to make sure that we don't miss something. So after we confirm 35 days with the buck, we do a pregnancy test to see who took early on. Then we document that. After the end of 45 days, we do another pregnancy test and document who's pregnant. By that time, all or most of them should be pregnant. So then after the 45 days, we pull them, and then another month, who's not pregnant, we test them again to see if they're late, if they were bred late in the process, and document all that. Who didn't get pregnant, we make a note of it and see if it's on their second time they're missing or it's the first time they're missing, take a note of that and then put them back in. So while they're there with the bucks, we make sure we do what we call the flushing, extra grain or some amazing grass, whatever. Our pasture thing is, as everybody know, it's 1 day in a paddock, and we have, I would say, good pasture based on the assessment we got. So these goats are always getting good pasture for the most part. So as per Dr. Young, Lynn Tate, the way the Kickstarter system is like add a little grain. So they're like, oh, this is some extra energy. I can, go into breeding, and that usually helps. We give them a little bit of grain when they come in the evening, and, for like the first 3-4 weeks, and just make sure they feel like, oh, I'm getting more energy here. I can breed. So after we confirm who's pregnant, they go back into the herd. And then the real preparation, everything starts a month before we know we're supposed to get the first kid, right? So pull them from the pasture, keeping them in, make sure they get good nutrition, check for any worm loads or anything that's going on, full overall check, and keep an eye on who we deem has a problem, try to help them recover or maintain till they have the kid. Then we go full on. Because what I've learned is if we bring a goat in and we realize the goat have a little worm load, sometimes it's risky to do deworming if it's not that bad. We don't, if it's borderline, when we do the check, we just don't. We just kind of keep her maintained until she had the kid. Then we go full on. with deworming and everything, because we don't want to take the risk. So once they come in for that month, then they start getting a little bit more, a little grain, like a pound of grain. Each animal get a pound of grain a day, and until they have kids. So we make sure that they have extra supplement and keep them healthy, everything they need. You know, if there's any aggressive one in the lot, we put them, isolate them, and make sure that we don't have aggressive animals just bucking each other. When they're in their lounge in the back, they have lots of space to move around and keep away from the aggressive goats. But when they're in the house and in that space, it's harder to get away. So aggressive goats, we put them in a pen by themselves and try to keep everybody safe. Now, once we get close, a week out from kidding, we start checking everybody and start taking stock, audit the stock of what we have, preparation, iodine, gloves, straws, hemoplex, omega-3, everything. We go through the list, make sure all that stuff is on hand, and let's go. Now we're just watching and waiting, making sure everybody's happy, everybody's healthy. Once the first kid drop, there is a process. We have 4 permanent small pens that we call, whether they're sick bay or kidding pen, depends on what's going on. Mother have kid, they go into that pen when we start having kids. So that pen is 6x4, and so the mother and the kid can bond, and we can keep an eye on them properly, and we start using up those first 4 permanent pens first. So then as goats, as they start having kids, then we start building out the mobile pens, the panels, as they start having kids, and we go accordingly. We have 2 nurseries. Our initial nursery that was we started using when we started the farm, and then we have that big space that we use for whether it's the mothers that are gonna have kid or the group breeding. We use that space, that bigger space. So when it's kidding time, we use that space where we build panels against the troughs, and as they have kid, we put up the panels, build the pens, and straws are ready, everything is go. So it's a process that everybody on the farm knows how it works, how we do it, and that's how we do our prepare for our kidding and execute the kidding plan. Harvey's asking, do you have access to veterinary medicine? Well, we have vets available for consultation, or call them if we have a problem and video, and they'll tell us what we need to do, or if they have a chance to come out and look. If it's not that urgent, they'll come later that week or something. Our feed companies have been amazing with helping farmers with veterinary service. You know, Dr. Young team is crazy, amazing. Like, everybody knows them man's are superstars. And Hypro has their team that they send out to. So, you know, if you keep in touch, and depends on who you have a great relationship with. We have relationship with everybody because we think we need to have relationships with everybody and promote them, big up all of them because of the great job that they're doing. You know what I mean? Some more experience than some, but they're still out there servicing people, still helping people, still taking phone calls, still sending videos on WhatsApp, and they can tell you, oh, try this, do this, this is what it is. So, you know, once they tell us what medication we need, we go find it, or they can tell us, oh, you can get it at Nutramix, or you can get it at Hypro Super Center, whatever it is. You just try and figure it out if you don't have it on the farm. What else? What wormer do I use? We have right now. I think we have fendazole, the white creamy one, and we have ivermectin. And from what I'm told, those are safe for pregnant mothers in the latter stage of pregnancy. We try not to do those things early in pregnancy, or if we have to, then we'd rather save the mother than, get a kid or two. So we never, knock on wood, we never have any worming issue with pregnant mother early out, because although the system works, they're always in the house for the most part during the breeding season. So we have a bit closer eye on them and we can deal with it accordingly. So those are the two dewormers we have on hand right now. And if somebody tells me that we need to have another one, then please drop it in the comment, because we can't be too prepared. We can't be too prepared. Harvey, where are you from? Tell us where you're from. Okay, so now that all our kidding is over, what our main focus is, before I go on to that, like, we have this thing on the farm where we say, yo, first, like, that show that used to be on TV called First 48 or something? We have a thing we call the First 48 on the farm. Every kid that drop, first 48 hours, maximum attention. If you have to set your alarm clock to get up in the middle of the night when we're there, get up and go check, make sure the kids sucking out there 10, 12 o'clock at night, holding mother, make sure kids suck, and we're trying to get to the first 48. After the first 48, we feel a little more comfortable that, okay, these kids are going to be good. They're going to be fine. And why we pay so much attention to it is because that's where our money is. That's where our money is. It's a big part of our income stream. So you save a kid, it's money in the bank. We go all out to make sure we save as many kids as we can. Like, whatever we need to do, we have to do. So once we start having kids, now we start storing colostrum. We milk new mothers and we freeze colostrum in ice cube trays, because in the event we have a mother that doesn't have any milk, and there's no mother there with colostrum, then we have colostrum stored with us. Put it in a container, put that container in some hot water and melt it, warm it up, and we feed the kid. So all that preparation, colostrum is a very important thing for you guys to store. We do it every kidding season, some colostrum, and freeze it, because you never know what's going to happen. Luckily this kidding period, we haven't had any such situation where we have to bottle feed any kids. So Cheryl is asking if she can give her pregnant goat dewormer. Well, yes, you can. And I'm not a vet, so I'm not going to give no veterinary advice here. I can only tell you what we do. What we were advised is that ivermectin and the white fenbendazole, any one of those white ones, are safe for late pregnancy. I don't use milk replacer I don't have to use milk replacer during my kidding period, because if a mother doesn't have milk, then there's somebody else around that has milk. Unless it's an isolated situation where, there's an accident, a mother have kid out of rotation and she has a problem, which we've had a couple of times because we didn't know the goat was pregnant. Um, we had to do milk replacer, but because we're in the milking program, we're doing a milking program now. We have goats milking for a long period of time, so we haven't had that problem recently. In the last year or so, we haven't had that problem, but before we had to. I don't know. I have to really research milk replacer because the ones we're using, I didn't think it was that good, but maybe Dr. Young can advise. I'm not a vet, so what can you give a kid that a 1 week old kid for cold? This is what we use to relieve symptoms. It doesn't cure the cold, but it helps relieve the symptoms, clears the breathing tract, and help them breathe better. We use DPH, the same thing we give to kids. And, you know, and we administer it as if we're administering it to a baby, and it helps clear up the mucus and help the kid breathe or the goat breathe better. But it don't cure the cold. So cold is something, if there's a regular little cold, it will clear up itself once you start doing that and give the goat some vitamins or whatever and build up their immune system, will clear up. If it start turning yellow, then you start getting a problem, which you need to consult a vet on. I'm not gonna say what is to be administered. That's a vet's job. But for treating regular little cool, then you can try DPH to clear it up. More experienced people in here in the group that can speak on that. If we have a goat that we see it turns yellow and the goat is laboring with breathing and all that stuff, and we can tell that something's really going bad, then we call a vet and say this is what's going on, and they will tell us what to do. How often should you give your goat dewormer? We only deworm as per needed. So we audit our herd every month, first of the month, whenever the schedule allow, but it's usually end of the month versus beginning of the month. Beginning of the month, whether it's second, third, whatever it is, first, second, third, whatever day, we can make it happen. But it's always the beginning of the month. That's when we check every goat for lice, mites, worming situation, everything, because the goats that are going to pasture and go in the back lounge, sometimes you don't have eyes on them in a real intense way to pick up on little things. So, when they're coming in is when I usually stand out there and watch and see who's lagging behind and all that stuff. But worming, if we find a goat that has a worm load and we see them falling off, conditioning, we deworm them. We don't do blanket deworming. We don't do that at Cabra Ranch. You know what I mean? We got that from speaking with, vets and more experienced goat farmers. We had Dr. Dahlia O'Brien on that, strongly believe in deworming as needed. So that's our practice. And you can research these things on YouTube. A lot of people have information on YouTube about that stuff. Only deworm as needed. So am I missing any other questions before I go on? Yeah, so here's Maximilian says, now don't deworm your goat without the advice of a vet. And I strongly believe in having a close relationship with your vet. So they will advise you on, if they're very familiar with your operation, then they'll be comfortable giving you some advice remotely. Ask for a video, a picture, whatever, and they can say, okay, this is what's going on, especially if they're very familiar with your herd. You can actually, we can tell vets like, oh, remember that goat in the corner, the black one with the whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, that one. And they're familiar with, what's going on the farm. Okay, so once all these kids are on the ground, we get through the 48-hour mark with each kid. Like right now at this very moment, we're past the 48 hours with everybody. Everybody's jumping around, everybody's bouncing, but we keep an eye on triplets. The triplets we keep a close eye on because we want to make sure that the mother one has enough milk for all three of them, and two, make sure all three of them are in good health, strong, and feeding, milk, sucking and all that stuff. Because if sometimes the mother don't have enough milk and the two strongest one just monopolize the situation, so then we'll pull the smaller one, the weaker one, and bottle feed that one. We don't really pull it from the mother. We just supplement the kid with some milk, or let the kid stay with the mother. But we know that, okay, we're going to give that kid some milk 2 times a day or 3 times a day. And we can do it because of, we milk in a group. And if there's a goat with one kid but a lot of milk, we can get some milk from that goat. And we go accordingly. Mr. Golding, Leon, what's up? Big up. Blaine, big up. O'Shane, good to see you, young man. O'Shane, I know you're messaging about YouTube videos. We've been crazy busy and haven't got a chance to be doing any YouTube videos lately, so sorry about that. But we'll get back to it. Sometimes just the farm gets hectic. I got to get used to the idea of having a camera up and just like documenting what we're doing. But when the time comes, I forget about that stuff. Just go in and start doing what we need to do. Hillside Farm, big up. Okay, so now that kids are on the ground and everybody seems to be healthy, our focus shift now to making sure the mothers are fed properly. I'll give you guys what our practice is, what we call our little secret to having healthy growth. And we average like 52, 53 pounds at 90 days, is we creeper pen. Make sure that at a week after having kids, the kids are done, introducing a little bit of grain in the creep feed. Now, because the reason we have these mothers separated and in these kidding pens, so the way the kidding pens are built is at the bottom of it, we put chicken mesh thing to keep the kids in early in their like for the first week, 2 week, whatever. So they're bonding with their mother. They're not running all over the place or stray over the place and can't get back to their mother. Once they're up and strong and can move around and recognize where their mother is, we take that away and they can go through these panels and go into the big area and play and do whatever they do. And there's a creep feed on the other side. So we start introducing them to the grain and the grass their mother is eating in the creep feed. So they can pick all day, understand, get used to what their mother is eating, and they will have that free choice from that point on. We find that if the mothers can feed in peace, and if the kids can suck in peace and nobody's bucking them away, pushing them away, we have fast growth. We have better growth rate. So that's why we do the kidding pens. The kidding pens and the mothers stay in there and away from aggressive goats, or, they're able to eat in peace, feed their kids in peace, kids can suck in peace, kids can go out in the big area and play, come back to their mother. Like, it's just a system we developed that I think work for us, and we've seen the results. I'm just answering questions as we go along here. See, Patrick said he lost a kid because of that 3-dropper, and one kid was so weak. Yes, as the kid's born, the first thing we try to do is recognize which one is the weaker one. And if the mother has enough milk, we will help the weaker one suck for 3-4 days to get that one, make sure that one is up and going, strong, and if the mother doesn't have enough milk, we just start supplement ourselves. So that's the reason why we do the kidding pens, and it helps a lot. The growth rate is better, happier kids, happier mothers, more peaceful situation. We can gauge how much mothers are eating. Each mother get their own little bit of grain, so we know that they're consuming X amount of grain. We know that they're eating a lot of the grass. We can pinpoint if something's wrong with the mother because they're all isolated, and we can really pay attention to them individually. And so that system worked for us. If you guys go on our iGoat IG Instagram, you'll see I post that nursery, the bigger nursery. I posted video of it today, and that's the final product of our kidding period right there. There's a whole nother section, our initial kid nursery, but yeah, we got 15 mothers with kids. That section has 8 of them in there, I think, and the other sections have the rest. So that's how our system works. That's our preparation. That's our process of having kids. And this is what we do after the kidding is done. It's just pay attention and keep the mothers healthy. And one thing I got to point out that, and people can give me a thumbs up or whatever they've experienced, is that mothers are more prone to heavier worm load in the last month of having kids, of pregnancy. I find that if the mother's gonna have issues with worm, it's gonna be the last month. And you have to pay close attention because they're pregnant, you may not be able to tell. So you have to be very familiar with what their coat should look like, what the coat, the hair and all that stuff is supposed to look like, because the goat could look good or look decent with when she's pregnant. Once she has a kid, you're like, whoa, what happened here? Because she had a worm load, and her immune system gets weaker because all the energy is going towards developing these kids. So that's one of the things where we pay close attention to. And if she has a worm load, you can tell sometimes the milk production is not as great, and that's why we pay attention, and we have Demoplex and vitamins and all that these things on hand. Because once the mother have kid and we see that, oh, she's not as conditioned as she should be, we just start putting in these inputs, Hemoplex, vitamin, all that stuff to give her extra energy. So, and if she needs deworming, boom, deworm right away. And how we deworm is as per Dr. Dalia O'Brien, we do combination deworming. So we will do the fendazole and the ivermectin injectable at the same time, like one behind the other, and we do it for 3 days. 3 days straight. And that's how we do our deworming. And we assess and see if it's working or not working. And if it's not working, then we do some consultation and move forward accordingly. But so far, so good. We've been successful with that deworming program. See, Peter says tail sticking down is a problem. Yes. And once you see goats with their tail down and whatever, they're not happy, they're not healthy, they're not doing well, because they're very proud animals. Tail's gonna be up. You can see the liveliness in their eyes, see the alertness when you come around, and that's always a good sign to know your goats are in good condition. Somebody's talking about milk replacer or Lasco. I've never used Lasco on them things. I don't know what's in it. I don't know if it has any nutrients for goats, but I've never used them. I've never used Lasco. I'd rather get some cow's milk or something. But I would suggest you consult someone like Dr. Young or a vet when it comes to those things, because I don't know really what the nutrient value is for Lasco when it comes to animals. And it doesn't make sense to me waste money and give them something that it's not helping. Yeah. Here, Blaine is saying he had 15 kids, last three of them to 2 things. One wasn't fast enough to clear one nostril. 2, used hay to cushion the pen, and it seemed to be moldy, and they died. I'm now in the process of giving that mother another goat kid to nurse. What we do once a goat's having kid, once you recognize goat's gonna have kid, and if we get there in time to isolate the goat, we pay close attention. We try not to intervene unless we see that there's a struggle. We have a timeline, 3-4 hours. If we see the mother is struggling for that time, we go in and help. And number one thing for us is clear the nostril, make sure the goat's breathing, the kid's breathing, and then we leave it to the mother. We do not, do anything else, because we don't want to create any bad habits. We want to be able to see which mothers are good mothers, which mothers are mothers. And so we can build out the herd accordingly. I don't want, offsprings from mothers who don't even care to clean up the kid. We got one mother, she's a little too aggressive. We call her Madik, so she just like kids down and clean up the kid, and then she start kicking the kid to get up and suck. First time I saw it, I thought, oh, she doesn't like the kid, whatever. Then I realized, no, her whole thing is the kid need to get up and suck. Don't be laying there. She like use her feet, kicking the kid, dragging the kid towards her udder, because the kid need to get up and suck. That's a good mother. Yeah, so what? Colostrum is the number one thing when kids born. Try to get colostrum in there. You know what I mean? Our guy Cruz, he has a technique where if the kid's struggling and don't want to, sometimes they're so resistant, they don't want your help. Like he just grab the kid, get them mouth a little open, and just start spraying colostrum in there. Like, first time I see him do it, I'm like, "What you doing?" He's like, "Well, by all means necessary." And he doesn't want the help, but we don't trust that we can walk away and the kid get it. So he just like spray some in there. Little will help. But by all means, get colostrum in them because that's the first thing they need. What else am I missing? Any questions? Any other questions about what we do, how we do what we do? Okay, so the part that I mentioned that we have the skill and stuff. So once the kids are born, clear nostril, mother clean up. Once we see the mother clean up enough, then we do, spray the navel, give some omega-3, and start assisting with getting colostrum. If the kid's strong enough to get up on whatever, we guide them so they can get some suck a little bit. And once we see that they're strong enough and we see that if they suck on their own, we don't touch anything. If they're struggling to get it, then we like, okay, let's help you out, get you some colostrum or whatever. And once they suck 2-3 minutes, we're like, okay, you're on your own for now. We keep checking back to make sure there's no issues, but we try not to intervene too much because we want the mothers to do what they do, want the kids to do what they do naturally, because we want hardy, strong animals in our herd. And that works for us, Trust me, we know that if a kid is struggling and can't do it and the kid's too weak, we have to step in. We have to step in and help. Whether help the kid suck or pull the kid on bottle feed because the mother doesn't have it or is not, a good mother, then we have to step in. But the whole idea is to save every kid. Save every kid. The one kid that we lost, the kid was healthy, good, and in the morning we come find the mother laying on the kid. So obviously she ain't no good mother because telling me she don't hear the kid bawling or something. But yeah, that's how we lost the one kid we lost this period. But give thanks nonetheless. We got a lot of kids there. We're happy. We're a very happy group right now at Cabo Ranch. Now is to bring them to weaning. And our system, creep feed, whatever the mother is eating. These mothers now, so here's the thing. Our system changed a little bit since the last kidding period because now we have the milking program. So these mothers have to be on the dairy ration because we're trying to pump up as much milk from them because of the milking program. And they have to be on the dairy ration well in advance for their system to get used to it and start creating more milk. Can't let the kids eat that dairy ration because it's too high in protein and may cause bloating or urinary alkali. So the mothers get just the amount that they need so they quickly eat it up, or we sprinkle some ammonium chloride on it in case the kids get access to it. What goes in the creep feed is the lower maintenance ration for the kids, and that works wonders. Like, it doesn't give no issues with bloating, no issues with urinary alkali, and they just eat it free choice. And I've learned this from our operation is you expose the kids to it early, they don't overeat. They just eat what they want and leave it and come back and eat what they want. Once you expose them to it early, if you starve them from it, like don't give it to them and then come back and then they'll eat a lot all at once, and then that's when you got issues with bloating or whatever. But if they're exposed to it early and they're have a free choice, then it's not a problem. So Mr. Henry says, if you don't have the space to isolate a group of 15, do you have any info or opinions on group raising and days apart the creep area? Okay, so if you don't have the space for group breeding, what you should do is, if you have 2 bucks, or how many bucks you have on the farm, select the buck that you're gonna use, right? Put it with the herd, just that buck alone. Document the date, right? Document the date and say, okay, that buck's gonna be in there for 45 days with those mothers, right? Pay close attention. It's hard. You can't watch them 24/7, right? So you make sure you pull the buck after the 45 days. Pull the buck from them after the 45 days and then start doing your pregnancy test. Or it's going to be hard. I mean, if you have a lot of like 25 goats or something, it's going to be hard to do pregnancy tests on those goats, but you may know which ones you want to check. You know what I mean? But if you pull the buck, then you know for sure once goats start showing signs, or you can get a vet in to do the checks, you know for sure that those goats that are pregnant belongs to that buck. Put that in your record. Close that off. You want to take another month pass or something, put another buck in. Different buck or the same buck. But make sure you make space in between, space in between, so you can actually document and know for sure what's going on. You know what I mean? If you don't have the space, always keep your bucks separated, because you don't want, well, for me, that's my advice. You don't want just these random breedings and everybody breeding at the same time and all that stuff. Like, I wouldn't advise it. If you have a lot of goats, then you should be able to separate some of them. Should have space to separate some of them that you can put the buck with. You know what I mean? But if you only have like 20 goats, 25 goats, and you don't mind them all getting pregnant, or most of them getting pregnant at once, it's manageable for you, then you can do that. You can just put the buck with them for 45 days and let it go. But I suggest, if you have a lot of goats, then you should have the space to separate them, whether it's build a fence down the middle of the goat yard or something, so you can actually manage that situation. Yes, we do vaccination once a year. New kids, we vaccinate at the 2.5 month, 3 month mark. And sometimes it's a luck of the draw, because sometimes we have kids that, like last year, if you guys remember, we had a kid that ended up with that problem, and the kid was only a month old. So, sometimes that happens. But yes, we do vaccinate once a year, and then you go to get vaccinated after 3 months. We do the vaccinations ourselves. We buy it, and we do the vaccinations ourselves. We do it under the front thing, under here. So when they walk, it rubs it out, and it doesn't, less chance of abscess from vaccination site. Artificial insemination. All right. What do I think about artificial insemination? We've had this discussion, Dr. Lintate, right? Artificial insemination is for, one, I'll tell you what it's not for, my opinion. It's not for growth. It is not for growth. because one, the success rate is not 80-90% for you to count on it for growth. The expense that goes into it, you can't do that for growth. It is for injecting new genetics, improved genetics into your system. That's what it's for. And I would advise new farmers, young farmers, do not get caught up on this AI thing, because it's not for growth. It help you grow faster. It will help you have nicer animals, or more, depends on what your objective is. If you're into milk and you can get, do AI on some couple females to get a better milk yield from their offsprings, or inject milking genetics, then, by all means. But that's a whole different thing from growth. You know what I mean? That's basically trying to prepare your herd and your system for your big goals. Your big objective is you want to start inserting, milk animals into your herd because you're about milk. Or if you are about meat, then you want, genetics to have more meat to bone ratio. Or if you want to develop breeding stock, then yeah, but it's not for growth. In no way I wouldn't. Somebody may differ with me, but it's not for growth. I don't think so. Here's another question. How do you balance how much milk you take from the mother for your milking program and ensure at the same time that the kids are adequately provided with milk? Okay, so these mothers that just have kids, they will not get put into the milk program until maybe end of October, 2-month mark. We don't have a system where we can supplement the kids with milk booster or whatever it is for have the same level of growth as if they're sucking their mothers. So what we do is wait until the 2-month mark, then we start milking the mothers. When the kids are eating a lot on their own, thriving well on their own, then we pull the mother overnight. We have a whole other section that we keep the mothers in. That's gonna milk in the morning. Mothers get pulled from the kids overnight, so the milk can build up, and we milk them in the morning and then put them back with the kids, and the kids can have access to them during the day. In the evenings, pull them again, so the process goes on until we get to the 3-month mark, when they're totally weaned off and we got the mothers to ourselves. That's our system. What I'm asking is, if you have 15 does and the kidding season lasts 2 weeks, but you don't have space to put each doe by herself, what's your views on having all in a big area with the creep field? Okay. Yes, you can do that if your goats are not as aggressive. If you don't have the space, find a goat that's aggressive, that's creating a problem, and try to keep that one separated. Because I find that goats are just, there's an evil streak to them. And I've watched and see, and I'm like, the reason we develop the system with the big is from observation. I'm standing there watching and see, kids are trying to suck and go to charge from the other side and just buck the mother away. And because that mother's docile and they beat her up all the time, so she doesn't eat as much. Kids don't get to suck as much. So her and her kids always look smaller. Kids don't grow fast enough. So we try to take away the aggressive goat. If they're all seem aggressive, then I take out the weak goat. You know what I mean? If everybody else can defend themselves and not scared of each other, and this is one goat getting beat up, we take that one out. So it just comes down to observation. You know what I mean? If they can coexist and it doesn't become a problem, then they can all stay together and, have a little section for the creep feed for the kids. But it just comes down to observation. Observation is the key. And that's why we spend so much time in the goat house. That's one of the key things about what we do on Carber Ranch and the way it's built is we want to be spending a lot of time in there. We want to be comfortable spending a lot of time in there and hanging out with them and observing them, because that's how I learn where I should adjust my system. If people who know us from the early days know that a lot of that space was wide open. First nursery was wide open. There was no creep feed. And then we realized Mackie came one time and he's like, yo, your kids are not growing the way they're supposed to grow. Like, we don't know. We're like, we're in this 6 months or something, first set of kids. We don't know what we're doing. So I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? It's like, well, you gotta either take all these aggressive mothers or whatever. Then I start digging and do my research and say, oh, Dr. Young came one time and said, you ever heard of the creep feed system? So I know. She told us what it is. Boom. Next day, get the materials, build that. Game changer. Total game changer. And then once we built the creep feed in first nursery, then we're like, oh, we could just run panels across on the creep feed to the troughs and create these little spaces, individual spaces. And then we just start adjusting accordingly, Built the first one because we had an aggressive mother, put her in there, and then we just said, oh, we just keep going. That's what we did. Observation and make the adjustment. See something, do something. Because you could see it and don't do anything about it, and then you suffer. In the creep area, it's the same grass the mothers get and the grain. We don't give the kids the dairy ration because of the potential for bloat or urinary alkali, which is stoppage of water. So we give them the lower crude protein maintenance ration. That's what we give them. But the idea is get them used to eating grass and grain at their level that they're at, and it's free choice. They can eat it whenever they want. What do I think about artificial? Who's Kimberly? I answered that already. AI, artificial insemination. I answered that already. What I thought about it is it's not for growth. It's for improving of your genetics. And if you're thinking about doing it, it should be for improvement of your genetics, whether you want to put in more better meat animals or animals that produce more milk. Whatever your big goals are, artificial insemination will help you get there faster. But it's not going to help with, number of animals. How many goats do you have now? 130 something. We gotta do an audit, and because we've been selling goats, and I wasn't there when they did the audit 2 weeks ago, so I have to check. But with these kids dropping, I'm pretty sure we're at about 130, 35, somewhere around there. But I will get you guys a precise number once I talk to Trudy, who controls the record keeping stuff. Who does she control? She does it. We do the audit. She records it. And we could have really been at 200 by now if we were holding everything. But we have to make some money. We have to create cash flow. So, You know, animals get sold, females got sold, and we're just gonna take our time and get there. Carrie asked, how often do we kid? We shoot for every 2 months. So sometimes give or take a week, 2 weeks, but yeah, we shoot for every 2 months with kidding. So our next kidding will be in November into December. That'll be our next kidding pen. And right now we're at, I think we have 12 goats that are confirmed for that time period. Hopefully we can, there's some that haven't been checked, need to be rechecked to confirm, but hopefully we have the 12 that we're looking for, that we need to stay on target. And trust me, I am not telling people this system works for everybody, okay? It is a lot of management. It's a lot of managing process, managing the way the farm works, keeping track of all these things. You know what I mean? But when we kid on a regular, then us and our team, or guys, we're in a rhythm. We know what's gonna happen. We know how it's gonna work. We know the process. We know come 90 days, 103 days, weaning. Those kids that are upstairs now in the goat house, those goats go to the North Lounge, the Weaners Lounge. By the time they get there, whatever buckling or whatever was down in the Weaners Lounge, either sold or whatever we're keeping for curry pot, whatever, they go to a different section to hold for fattening or whatever. And then the females that are in the North Lounge, Weaners Lounge, they get integrated into the general herd, so they start going to pasture, and it's a cycle, you know, and we have to stay on top of it. And nothing is carved in stone. We're not sending goats to pasture if the goat's not healthy enough to go to pasture, especially females. I'm like, it's not gonna hurt for her to stay in the lounge until we think she's ready to go. You know, so we don't force the issue. No, the lounge is big enough to have, you know, 25 kids in there. So 25, 30 kids, it all depends. We can add more troughs if we need to. It's a big open space, you know, for people who are familiar with my postings or the farm itself. Yeah, so any other questions? And Gary, the reason we do group breeding and control the breeding is it's a system that works for us, and plus it's manageable. You know, if we just let the bucks loose on our herd, I mean, we could end up with 200 kids at one shot. You know what I mean? We got 100 and something breedable mothers right now. 103 or something like that, breeder mothers that can breed. So if we let the buck back there and just run with them and go pasture with them, we could end up with some serious numbers on the ground that we can't deal with. Linda, my friend Linda. Hey Linda, what's going on? Was Cabaran's biggest fan, or one of. I don't want to alienate nobody. So what age I send to pasture? I send to pasture at 4 months to 5 months. Depends on how well the growth rate is, how good they look, how well conditioned they are. We make the decision then, you know. And trust me, it's a process because they're so used to being in that lounge and everything is nice or whatever. They don't want to go walk up and down the pasture. But our system needs them to go to pasture. That's not how I see. We don't have that in fully intensive system. They gotta go to pasture. They gotta get used to that. They gotta figure it out. Ocean says the biggest fan. Maybe that's true. Yeah, Gary, just hit us up, WhatsApp, and make sure for when it comes to female, we have a running list, so we'll make sure you're on the list. I mean, a lot of people should get some people on the list should get females from this group. So let's see how it goes. All right. All right, yeah, dude. I can't alienate people. Like we got some solid supporters like yourself, O'Shea, and we got like amazing, family here that we appreciate and respect and are happy to hang out with every Saturday. You know what I mean? It's amazing. And I keep telling people, I'm like, dude, I don't care if I have 20 people who are doing it. The only reason I don't do it is because I can't do it because of internet purpose or internet problems or whatever. But I love having this conversation. I love having this discussion. I love sharing what I've learned. And people got to remember, I'm going to put the bull disclaimer out there now. 2.5 years, Cabo Ranch been in real operation. So we young and we don't know as much as more experienced farmers. We rely strongly on people like Mackie, people like Dr. Young to advise us, Dr. McHugh, Dr. Patrick. We rely strongly on a network of people when it comes to making decisions on things, when it comes to, the approach we take. Talk to people like King Curry. Well, King Curry tell you straight the pros and the cons, and then you make a decision based on what you need to do. Yeah, and so we're not the be all end all. I'm just sharing how we go about it. You ask me about all the mistakes that we've done, and I tell you too. You know what I mean? I've had our share of mistakes and losses along the way. So we gotta share it. Tell people. It's better for people to know, the right way or the better way of going about things than have to learn and suffer upon their own when they didn't have to. You know what I mean? I don't think it's fair. So I'm willing to share how we do it. And the reason that I'm so high on the process of kidding and stuff is because we found out the hard way what it takes to manage a group of kids, what it takes to get them to market with. You know what I mean? Like our first set of kids, no, like Mackie come and say, oh, this a joke thing. You didn't see the kid them not grow, them supposed to grow. We don't know. We never have no kids before. You know what I mean? And what we used to and see when I was a kid or whoever the people around me, my kid them look amazing. I say, nah, man, they should be doing better than this. Yeah. I had to eat my humble pie and just go find answers to the problem. You know what I mean? And trust me, it wasn't a situation where I feel slanted or whatever. I was happy that he come and pointed out that, we need to make some changes. Things are not working the way it's supposed to work. Yeah, we're happy that he came aside. So there's people out there that are, keep the information to themselves, or I don't know, they think it's a competition thing or something, but we're not about that. And I'm going to put this out there right now. There is a lot of different goat groups popping up all over the place, which is great. But I'm going to tell our iGoat chat family, be careful of the information you consume, because a lot of information out there, one is either they're from your great grandfather days, which nothing is wrong with some organic remedies or whatever, but if you're in a production and want to make a money out of it, you can't wait for organic remedies to work. So you have to make sure you know the information you're getting, vet the information, and stay close with your vet. And YouTube have all the the answers. You just have to be smart about the information you're consuming. There's a lot of either false information or people just free to give advice on sick animals and stuff like that when they're not vets. You know what I mean? They just somebody just posts a blurry picture or whatever, and people are giving them tons of advice on what I'm like, yo, like that's not good. Because the guy who posts a picture may or the female who posts a picture may take the advice from somebody who have not even have a clue what's really going on. And they go hurt their animals, So I'm telling you, be careful of the information you consume, the advice you get. Find a mentor, find somebody is doing a good job at raising them goat, taking care of them goat, have a system you like, find that person and build a relationship with that person. And so the person is free to tell you, oh yeah, man, try this, try that. A lot of people hit me up WhatsApp daily basis. You know what I mean? And if it's simple things like abscess, of course, simple things like a regular cold, yeah, I can tell you quick remedy or something to do to help the goat. But when it comes to things that I think a vet should address, I'm like, no, man, send me a video and I will forward it to the vet and introduce you and they can tell you what's up. I'm not giving advice on them things, them deep things that I know nothing about, because every animal is different. Every situation is different. Kimberly, we don't have any bucks available at the moment. Won't be available till October, November. Our bucks go really fast. The cows, Cherry and Oh Baby, they're doing good. I need to figure out how to breed them. I'm gonna have to talk to somebody who knows, maybe AI or something on them, because they've been there almost 2 years now, and they're ready to be bred. I think, right? In 2 years, they're 2-year-old. They can breed. Inachi, just let me know. But they're doing good. They're in good health, and trust me, I don't know if this is good. I won't put it out there. These cows only eat grass and drink water. They don't get no minerals. They don't get dewormed. That stuff. They just go pasture to pasture behind the goat them and eat grass and drink water. And them look nice, fat, and shine. And that's it. So I'm not a cow guy. I mean, I know nothing about cow more than we like to know that they're there to help with the pasture management. So whoever is who's cow guys can give us some pointers, and it's not like we're trying to get into cow breeding or no. We just have them for that. Yeah. Our pastures are decent. It's all guinea grass and legumes down there, and they seem to be doing very well. They look nice and fat and shine. So that's the Cherry and Oh Baby thing. We're trying to get them to be a lot more friendly. I guess we have to handle them more, but that takes time. Or we haven't spent the time to handle them. So they see you come up and we'll try to come close, and then you try to go close to them and they take off and leave. So the only time they come close is when you're refilling them water thing. Then they come close. Linda says it's not gonna happen. Linda, I'm gonna let you come and tame them. If I get Cherry and Oh Baby to be friendly, will you pet them? Next time you come, I'll try to get them nice and friendly, and you can pet them. Well, Nadia, these cows have never had grain, so I don't know if I know anything about that. But maybe I should start giving them little so they can get used to us and come close to us thinking that we're gonna give them treats. Maybe that's what I need to do. In fact, I could give them a little other dairy ration because that's what the Sergile and them people use. So I can start giving them a little dairy ration in my hand and see if them like it. And then I can start petting them. Linda would love that. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. We're looking forward to these kids' growth and then start putting together the next breeding group, some observation and see who's in the back. First, we really gotta do a breeding audit and see if anybody's slipping through the cracks of not breeding, in the cycle, if they're missing the cycle, and see if we can force the issue. And the next thing that we want to do with tighten up our breeding is use CDR, cedar, sinking them. If we can use that and it's cost effective, then we can crunch down our breeding time to a shorter time, like get them done in 35 days instead of 45 days. And we know it's going to be a little more intense because they're going to all drop in one time or something. But if we can get it closer, tighter, then we have more time in the year to have kids. Like, my brain just work crazy like that. We could have an extra kidding period if I can tighten up the time. So those are the things I think about. So if I sync them, then we know, like, okay, over 35 days, everybody should be bred. Then, we can have more time in a year to breed. That's just the things I think about. And I just got to figure out if it's cost effective to use the cedars, But it's a production system, man. We have to do what we got to do to maximize their production. We got two factors of the farm going, the milk side and the meat / breeding for small farmers thing. We don't sell from full blood and purebred, except for the 1 and 2 that may come from our 3 Nubians and stuff. But we're trying. We're definitely doing what we got to do to keep it going. And whatever advice, I can give or receive is always welcome. Always. What we have planned for the end of the year. End of the year next move is the next breeding group. Try to get that ironed out. And as I said, try to see if we have anybody missing breeding this year and try to get them in there. And then our next target is to improve on our milk yield. We got to make sure we maximize our milk yield because our plan is to start having products next year. But we have to go through the whole system of how we milk, how we take care of the milk, how we store the milk, all that stuff. We got to get that down. So now that's a phase we're in right now, handling the milk, and securing milk yield. So that's what we're planning on for the rest of the year, is to nutrition for the milking mothers are good, improving on the milk yield and all that. That's our plan for the rest of the year. And of course, the breeding and produce more kids moving forward. Shane wants to know why we use graded. Okay, Shane, I don't think we had a choice, bro. This is what happened. When we decided to start, we actually start because of milk, because Trudy was making goat milk products. And we realized we couldn't just come and buy some milk animals because there were none available. So we were advised that, okay, just start with graded, get a nice box, start to grade it, and work your way up. So that's what we did, and this is where we are now. But over time, we'll get there. We just got to believe in the process and the system. So, Gary, we don't have any goat milk lotion and stuff on the market yet. We had it when we're in the US, but locally, no, because we haven't started the full-on production of it. But we make for our own use. But we haven't done put any on the market yet. The milk that we're harvesting now, we sell to Ruby Dairy Goat Farm, and it's going well so far. So once we get this whole system perfected or close to perfection, understanding how it works, then next year we get into making our own products. And Judy is amazing at making these lotions and soaps. So we'll get there, and everybody's gonna know when we got products on the market and how we're gonna sell it. We started with we bought our first 7 goats from TJ, Terrence Johnson, including that amazing book that I'm sorry I sold, Joe. We started with 6 females and Joe, 7 goats, and we bought them summer 2019. We're supposed to come down. The goat house supposed to be built. We come down, no goat house, no build yet. Right, you guys see pictures of the cottage that we're in. The goats used to live in there, the 7 goats, till the goat house was built. So goat house didn't get finished to the end of 2019. Moved them in, and then January 2018. 2018 I'm talking about. End of 2018. January 2019, we had an opportunity to buy 34 goats from a gentleman in Clarendon. We jumped on the opportunity, and that was the official start of Carver Ranch. That was the official start. And I think outside of those goats, we have only bought we bought 2 bucks, 2 additional bucks, and we bought 4 other females, and that's it. We bought the Nubians. We bought Samson. 3 bucks. We bought Samson, Appleton, and Grind. Yeah. So initially it was just Grind and Joe that was there in the early stages in 2019. And then we got the opportunity to develop a relationship with Mackie, and then we got Samson and Appleton, and then we got Dr. Young help us got Rico, and that's it. We haven't put in any bunch of females into the system since then. We just breed and keep and diversify how we breed them. The question about the milk yield, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not so deeply into the administration of the milk thing. I know that we're like 9 from 10 goats or whatever, we're getting like 8 or 9 quarts. And remember, these are just little graded goats. There's no super nothing going on there. So we're just going through the process of perfecting how we go about doing it harvesting, storing, transporting, all that stuff. So once we figure that out and got that down, then we'll start ramping it up. Yeah, Gary, you can come visit, man. We get visitors all the time. Where visitors are welcome. We're willing to share what we do, how we do it, and yeah. So that's it. What is the breeding time period after kidding? For us, it's minimum. We wait minimum 3 or 4 months before we even attempt to breed them. And what we find now is like, because these mothers are going into the milking program, they're in better condition come 4 or 5 months because of the dairy ration that they consume for milking. So they can breed earlier, like 3 months or 4 months, no problem, because their conditioning is so good. We use the dairies, I think it's, what is it called? Surgile dairy ration. I don't know if Khalil Brown is on here. He's our nutritionist, so I think that's what it's called. Yeah. The dairy cattle people them use it. That's what we use. And it really works. It's like nutrition, man. Like, just figure out the nutrition. It works wonders. When it comes to health and production and growth and them things, nutrition. Understand the nutrition. Understand when to cut the grass, when to feed the grass. If you guys are doing research on these things, and you'll see the real good research, you'll see a note or something that says as fed or something like that. That little as fed, those 2 words tells you everything about the information you're reading. As fed, because you can feed any amount of grass, tons of grass to your goat, but if it's not fed at the right time, don't mean nothing. WhatsApp me during the day. It's best. That's the best time to WhatsApp. Yeah, I want to get somebody on to talk about how to feed grass. We did a webinar through USAID last year, or some USAID, whatever it is called, last year. And there was a gentleman, it was a Spanish gentleman, a Latin gentleman, and he was talking about feeding forage and the proper way to feed forage and the weight versus hay and all that stuff. And the information was amazing. And he's the one who enlightened us, or enlightened me, as fed is the key. Like, what is the age of the grass you're feeding? Is the hay good enough? Like, all that stuff is so important. For our pasture, it's 6 weeks rotation. So we try to make sure they eat it when it's in really good nutritional state. But yeah, like just going out and cutting grass, it's fine. It's, does its job. But if you're trying to maximize the nutrient value or nutrient intake for the animal, you got to know how old that grass is. Miguel, my bucks get a pound and a half to 2 pounds of grain. Depends on where they're at. If they're working, straight 2 pounds a day, because they don't really pay them no mind to eating too much when they're in rut. You know what I mean? They're more about the women, so the grain will give them a little extra boost. And I don't feed that. I don't give them the high protein grain. It's a 15% maintenance ration because I don't want the urinary calculi situation. October. I don't know in a boss because these kids that are born now is gonna be weaning maybe end of October to November. So I think a safer bet is to say November. Those kids will be ready. Okay, I think this was amazing. An hour and a half, man. 9:30. It's crazy. 8:37 already. Time flies when you're having fun. I want to thank you guys for participating. I think this is a really good one. Share as much information as I can share. And I appreciate everybody on here. Big up to, the guys who strongly participate, have all the questions. Gary, Miguel, Kim, you know, Mr. Henry, Mr. McCook, Linda, Howard, Natty from Chelsea Best Farm, all these O'Shane. Big up O'Shane when you come in and visit the farm. Want to thank you all for participating and being here. Dr. Young for stopping in and showing some love. Everybody who is watching and don't really say much, we still appreciate you being here and sharing with us. And we'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place, same fun, more information. And I'm working on getting a special guest for next week. So we'll hopefully can get that locked in. And we'll see you guys. All right. Take care. And just remember, be careful of the information you consume of these group sites and all that stuff. Consult your vet at all times. See you guys. Peace.